Glen and Randa, 1971.
"20 years after the bomb, the past becomes a dream, where cars are things that grow in trees, and comic books are real."
Our city's metropolis. Has lots of cars, and all the clothes are white, and all the people can fly.
Greetings, fiends. Once upon a time, there were countries, cities, schools, movies, electric appliances, the Beatles, politicians, and then there was Glen and Randa, a grim, low-budget 1971 film about life years after a full-scale nuclear war. As far as I know, Glen and Randa is the first feature film to realistically look at how humans survive years after the nukes hit. The 1983 U.S. film, The Day After, offered a depressing look at survival right after World War III. In 1984, the British production of Threads briefly showed the brutality and horror of life years following a direct hit to London. But Glen and Randa took a different, albeit dark, look at how humans carried on decades after the big one hit. Glen and Randa plot. Teenagers Glen, played by Steve Curry, and Randa, played by Shelley Plimpton, are members of a tribe that lives in a rural area decades after nuclear war has devastated the planet. They know nothing of the outside world, except that Glen has read about and seen pictures of a great city in some old comic books. He and Randa set out to find this city. Review of Glen and Randa.
We're not animals, we're people! We have to start living like people! We have to be civilized!
I recall seeing articles about Glen and Randa in film magazines of the 1970s and 80s, including Cine Fantastic magazine, but never saw the movie during that time. Unlike its action-oriented 1975 counterpart, A Boy and His Dog, directed by L.Q. Jones and adapted from a novella by Harlan Ellison, Glen and Randa takes a more downbeat approach to the struggle for survival post-nuclear apocalypse. There are no little shanty towns with crude electricity and people bartering for goods and services. And there is no advanced yet oppressive society below ground looking for non-sterilized men from above to impregnate their women. No, their small tribe has been reduced to a pack of roving, zombie-like men and women, scavenging in burned-out houses for expired cans of food and anything else they can get their hands on. This is humanity at its lowest, defeated and in perpetual despair. They've lost all ties with the civilization that existed decades before. The men and women are mostly illiterate, sterile, and lacking any will or know-how to improve upon their sad state. They are able to survive day to day, and that's all they do. They are literally the end of the line. In one example, Glen goes fishing in a river, whereby he catches large fish with his hands and beats them to death with a stick, and they consume the fish raw. The childlike Glen is also obsessed with his prized possession, a beat-up Wonder Woman comic book that tells him there is a great city called Metropolis, where everything is fine and well-dressed people seem very happy. He and Randa split from the tribe and go on a long trek to find this mythical city. Glen and Randa starts off like a typical post-nuclear Holocaust scenario, but if you pay close attention to what unfolds during the movie, you realize that it takes the term dark to a whole new level, all the way to the end credits. shot on a $200,000 budget. It's a film void of special effects and entirely devoted to the characters. But these characters are alien to us, far removed from what we consider to be modern man. This plays out in a variety of ways during the film, and director-co-writer Jim McBride delivers an uncompromising and often shocking look at a possible post-civilization future, at least for a pocket of isolated humans. There are only 4 actual actors in the film: Steve Curry and Shelley Plimpton, who played the lead roles of Glen and Randa, and Woodrow Chambliss and Gary Goodrow, who play key bit parts in the film. The rest are extras, and the production team did an astounding job of finding these people to portray burned-out nuke survivors. They look and act convincingly enough to lend the film a dread air of unnerving authenticity. The grim reality of today. As of October 2024, many mainstream sources, including the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, will tell you that we are closer to full-scale nuclear war than we have ever been, including the early 1960s Cuban Missile Crisis. And while many things have changed in the last 50-plus years since Glen and Randa was released, one thing remains true. Full-scale nuclear war will mean the end of civilization as we know it. And in that sense, Glen and Randa remains a very relevant film today. You can find a VHS quality version of Glen and Randa on YouTube, and a better quality video on Movie Land TV. I hope you enjoyed this look at Glen and Randa. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.
What's your name?
Sidney Miller.
I'm Glen and she's Randa.
I haven't seen anyone in 20 years.
But her! Oh!
She's going to have the baby.
Doris Day and Polaroid and Palisades Park and Safeway and Rock and Roll and Prince Valiant and the Holland Tunnel and